in your diary? What's in your diary?
What's in your diary?
What's in yours?
Hey, it's Ty.
And it's your boy Mike.
And welcome to another episode of the It's Not Your Diary podcast. Hey, Mike.
What's the deal, Ty?
How's it going?
It's all gravy. Making it day by day. How about you?
Same. I've been having a super slow week this week.
Yeah, this week has been kind of slow. It's only Wednesday. Feels like Friday.
Yeah, and it's really cold. It's been like negative 30 degrees almost every day.
Yeah. So what's up? You got a complex question for me today?
Of course.
Give it to me.
Our complex question for this week. Would you rather have one very good friend for the rest of your life, which you have nothing in common with, or have 5 terrible friends that you have everything in common with?
Yeah. That's tough. I used to not believe that, like, you are who you hang out with. So if I'm hanging out with 5 terrible friends with everything in common, then I'm probably terrible. And probably just really, what's that word? Delusional. Thinking that I'm a pretty decent person. But if I have a friend, a really good friend with nothing in common, it's like, I'll feel like, man, this guy is really good, and he's just like...
You think you would probably aspire?
I mean, maybe I'll get annoyed by it. I'm like, bro, like, why do you, like, you know, like, why? But, man, do I have the Holy Spirit in me? It's the question. Yeah, okay, if I have the Holy Spirit within me, then I would have to pick this good friend, because eventually, I would want, iron sharpens iron, and eventually I'd want to be, get up to that. It's like you surround yourself with millionaires, even though you're not a millionaire, eventually you'll become one. True. I'll have to take that one friend.
Okay, and then what if I said the friend doesn't change who you are? Does it matter?
The friend doesn't change who I am? Yeah. Like, in terms of, like, my interests and stuff?
Yeah.
Like,
so if you had the bad friends,
they'll still be my friends.
But which one would you choose? Like, if neither one changed who you were in a negative or positive way, would you rather have more friends?
I'm taking my 5 friends then. I'm gonna ride with my day ones. No, that's a tough question. I mean, if my guys aren't really helping me out, then it's like, well, what's the point of me being around? Like, especially if I'm trying to do better. Man, that is a complex question. That is deep. What about you?
I think I would choose the one friend.
The one friend? But, like, what if y'all got nothing in common? What do y'all talk about aside from what? How do I become like you, bro? Like, what do we talk?
I don't know. I feel like I've been on both sides, but I feel like we'll get more into that as we go.
One thing that I learned is that you can find common ground with everybody. So it's like this one friend, like, I can find something that we're both into. Probably growth then.
Maybe, probably.
But
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But I have met people where it's just like, we just don't click on, like, a lot of things, and then it's like awkward.
That's only happened to me once, and I was always confused, like, why? Like, why is the vibe so weird? But then I ended up finding out down the road, like, it was never supposed to be anything, any type of friendship or anything. So, yeah.
Truly.
So if y'all haven't figured out, this week's episode is on friendship.
Friends. How many of us have them?
I wasn't expecting you to break out singing.
Gee, I love it. That's instantly what I thought about. Because the first question was, what is friendship? And that song just started playing in my head. And I was like, man.
What is friendship? Friendship is a relationship of mutual affection between 2 people, or a stronger form of an interpersonal bond more than an association.
Yeah.
Whatever that means. That's what Google said. But
mutual trust and support.
Oh, thank you for breaking that down. But it's just like, you don't, from this definition, you would know.
Right.
Like somebody who don't really know, they're just like, oh, okay. Like me.
Like me.
Okay, guess how many friends, like close friends, people have, like the average amount of close friends people have in America today?
3?
close. 2 to 5.
2 to 5.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, and
I feel like it's like as we get older, we know like yeah, we don't need everybody in our corner.
yeah,
You know,
I mean that's true.
and it's no hard feelings that if you're not, because there's so many corners that need support.
Yeah.
You know.
That's true. There's actually a study done by the health insurance company Cigna. They found that most adults have 2 to 5 really close friends, but then they also found that 1 in 5 people feel lonely. And that's a lot of people.
Yeah, that's a lot of people.
Yeah. The highest level of loneliness are single males who are young with lower income.
Yeah, that's me.
I wonder why that is. You feel lonely?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Is it because you don't have friends though?
No, it's not because I don't have friends. I have, I got good friends, very supportive, but I think it's just like it's more internal, like, it has nothing to do with friends, honestly. Like, cause like when you step back and look at it all, you're like, why am I feeling it? You know, and it's definitely just like an internal battle that you're having within yourself. You know, I mean, but when you said that, like, yeah, I definitely felt, I was like, dang. Well, the reason why I felt that way, because I was like heading in one direction and there was no one was like wanting to head in that direction with me. So it felt like if I were like in terms of ministry, if I were to be like talking about this or wanting to go to the Czech Republic to go on a mission trip, I didn't have my friends to experience that with. So yeah, I felt lonely, you know, but I think that we think it's because we don't have friends or whatever, but it's like, I don't think that we're really trusting God that, you know, we're not alone. You know, it's like, look who you do have on, you know, to your right and to your left, you know, and all these people here, you know, you're not alone, you know. So yeah, that was, I think it's just this perspective aspect.
And probably the devil getting it.
You know, yeah. So your friends changed from previous years until now? Like, what's your circle like? Big? Is it small? Has it changed? Is it growing? What's up?
I feel like I've changed as a friend a lot. And then I feel like my friends have completely changed too. Kind of, sort of. I have a lot of new friends and we all kind of are on the same path. And like that's also one of the things the studies show, like having friends with more similarities. Like people have friends with more similarities and more differences. So I feel like as I kind of got older, my circle started to kind of just wither away in a sense. But it was me looking back, it was more so because I was selfish. Like I was not a good friend. I had a lot of like one-sided friendships, but I didn't really understand that until I was more aware. Things that I said or the way I approached situations or like just having expectations when I shouldn't have had expectations. Like we are human. Friend circle has changed so much, but I'm so thankful because it was a point in time where I was saying like, you know, I never wanted to have a wedding because I'm like, I'm not gonna have a maid of honor. I was like, I'm not gonna have that. I'm not gonna have nobody in my wedding, so what's the point of having one? But that was more so with just like where I was. I feel like I was a very selfish person, and that's something that I had to learn, that I had to grow out of. It wasn't just all about me and what I wanted and what I didn't want. And yeah, I just had to learn how to just like support my friends a little better. But how about you? Do you feel like yours have changed or kind of stayed the same? Or
I feel like my friends have stayed the same. Some friendships have back, some have like just gotten a little distant. But it's one thing that always like just rings in my head is that it was when I was 18 years old and I was at my buddy Dylan's house, and it was his day to go to college, and I was outside with his dad, and you know, we just got done packing up the truck, and it was just me and him, and we were just like enjoying the morning, like just like chilling there. And he was like, you know, Mike, one thing about life is that, you know, people are gonna head in one direction or head in the other, but you know, that doesn't mean that you guys aren't gonna be friends any longer. And, you know, I was like, yeah, you know, like, that's right. You know, like, my best friends are about to go to Indiana for college, and I'm going to be here.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean that we're gonna be separated? No. I mean, like, not be friends? No. Are we gonna be separated? Yeah, of course. But it's up to us and like how we handle that, or if we want to continue to invest in those relationships. Because like there's always love in your heart for the people who have impacted your life, who you grew up with, what I'm saying. But like you said, I think like if you have a selfish mindset, and I'm not trying to like come at you or anything, but if you have a selfish mindset, then it's like you kind of get a little bitter, like, oh, like my friends changed, or they out doing this when I thought we were gonna do this. But it's like we have to have a understanding that people grow up and they have things that they want to do, and and like I'm not able, like the Bible talks about how like when you have wealth you gain friends, and when you don't, it's kind of like they kind of avoid you a little bit. And I'm not saying like my friends avoided me, but I wonder how many friends like went on a trip and was like, Mike can't even afford this, or like something, what I'm saying? So it's never like, I never looked at it like, oh man, like, well, sometimes when I would be getting that loneliness and stuff, like I'd be like, man, like where are my friends? Like why don't they, hit me up, or like see how I'm doing, rather than me, having that one-sidedness, reaching out to them. But people grow in different ways at different times. I still want to be your friend. And I know that when we do link up, it's always good vibes. It's always good vibes. So
it's like even if you haven't talked to somebody in like a year, and then you see them, and it's like we never miss like any time.
And that's the best. That's when it's like love is there. Peace is there. Unity is still there. And it's like back then, like we didn't have technology. Like people rode on horses and traveled far away, what I'm saying, to go handle their business. But when they reconnected with those people that they loved, it's like, man, you come together even stronger a little bit. And I think that's a great thing about friendship,
I feel like last year I really like took a lot of time to just pay close attention to my friends a little more. Well, was that last year? It might have been the year before last year. It might have been when I was pregnant. I don't know. It might have been all mixed in there. But even if I didn't talk to them all day, every day, hang out with them all the time, I still like made sure, and I know my memory is so bad, so I set like a little timer or a notification in my calendar to like check on a friend you haven't talked to in a while. And it would like come every Wednesday at a certain time, like when I got off work, because I wanted to be able to at least like keep up with my friends even if we didn't talk. So that was just like one of the ways that I was maintaining my friendships at that time. Really looking back, I was just like when we was planning for this episode, I was thinking like, wow, I used to be a terrible friend and nobody really told me, and I didn't really understand. But I feel like what a toxic friendship is like way more really good friendship is. A few of them. I'm gonna try to read them real quick. Okay, so a toxic friendship is one that where you're giving more than you're getting. You no longer trust them. You dread checking your phone. You don't enjoy spending time with them. You don't like yourself when you're with them. They talk about you behind your back. You compete with them. You don't think they have your the best intentions for you at heart. You can't depend on their advice. You're embarrassed about their behavior, like when you're out in public towards other people. You make excuses for them. You feel used. You don't understand why you're friends with them. They're jealous all the time. They make you feel insecure, and they won't stop criticizing you. And then they're basically like, in a sense, trying to change you, change who you are. And that I was like, wow, yeah, I do. I kind of do feel like at one point I was like toxic in my relationship and in friendship because I was really selfish, and it was really hard for me to kind of see, and I would say emotionally unhealthy, because it's just really hard for me to see certain things, because I was just focused more on like me, what I wanted, and if that didn't happen, it's like now we have a problem. But the crazy thing is like normally in friendships, like I just let it build up. Right. And I like never said anything about anything, and then to the point where I either snap or cut people off. But normally I would snap, like send like a 50 paragraph letter, And now looking back, it's just like, that is not even who I am. Why was I acting like that? And it was just like trying to fill a void, you know, through other relationships when I just needed to really work on myself. So with that, those are the toxic traits. And then some of the healthy traits are, healthy friendship traits are like support, trust, honesty, active listening. It's a judgment-free zone, accountability. They hold you accountable if you need that, or if you don't, they respect that. Respect, no talking behind your back. They respect your boundaries. You forgive them and they forgive you. And then...
Is it like taking constructive criticism on there? Being able to... I mean, I would think that would be a good one to have, because I mean, I feel like sometimes, but go ahead, is there anything?
Oh, I was just gonna say the last one was them knowing the worst in who you are and still being able to love you and you love them, and vice versa.
That's dope.
That's really important, like taking constructive criticism. I wonder why that was not on the list, but yeah,
there's a fine line when it comes to judgment. And
do you think that goes hand in hand with accountability?
Yeah, and we can get to that later. One, I appreciate your vulnerability, saying like how you were back in former friendships and all, but like I feel like everybody has toxic traits and everybody has healthy traits, you know what I'm saying? And it's up to how you said, like knowing yourself and being real with yourself and working on those things. And I think you have great friends if they are willing to forgive you, and be like, you know what, like it's fine, because I'm not perfect either. And it's just like, all right, like how could we make this better, friendship better? But one of how our friends have changed, and what does friendships look like? What does the Bible say about friendships, like, and whatnot?
So I actually have this scripture, Proverbs 27:17, as iron sharpens iron and one person sharpens another. So just a story, like at the beginning of, well, not really the beginning of last year, but me and my friend, like we had our goals. Well, it was the beginning of last year. And then we were like, we're going to hold each other accountable to these goals that we have, pretty much push each other and just, check up on each other, kind of see where they are. And then some things that kind of came and went, some of the goals might have slipped off, but we actually were able to be there for each other and really be able to help each other. Like she was able to start her business last year, and I was able to, mine was a podcast, actually starting it and going through with it and everything. And that was just like a clear representation of that. Like we sharpened each other and we pushed each other so that we could be able to just do the things that, God wanted for us, and things that we've been praying on and we have been wanting to do. So yeah, and it's like, I feel like at some points, like we get to a point where our friends fall off because they see you doing one thing, or they don't like sometimes to see us doing good or doing what we said we were going to do. And sometimes some people get a little jealous, as people. Sometimes we just give in to our flesh. But like a friend who could really stick around and help and not leave when things get tough or when you are trying to hold them accountable, I mean, that's like everything. That's, you want to be able to sharpen each other, and, it might get tough, because I was really uncomfortable with even posting my podcast on social media, but then it was like, I had people who were there to push me and kind of just get me out of my comfort zone, of course. But like, in some situations, your friends will try to push you, and it's like, well, I don't want to be friends with them anymore because like last week, in that comfort zone. That was, what did you find? Like, what did the Bible say for you?
I found to John 15:13, no one has greater love than this, that one lay his life down for his friends. That was Christ at the time. They're talking about Christ and how he laid himself down for the sake of the world. And I don't think, one thing that we shouldn't overdo it in terms of like, oh, just like give. You know how you said like that's, and not, receiving, the one-sidedness. But I think it's not letting your heart get hardened to where you're not laying yourself down in terms of how you feel in terms of this friend or like what they have done to you. Because I don't think God intended us to live like that, to where we are just not supportive, not able to pour into each other's life. And then also 1 John 4:11, beloved, if God loves us, we also ought to love one another. We have to dive into what does love actually mean, because that's that's a hard thing. If we're able to love one another, we're able to care, support, understand, listen, everything that makes up a healthy relationship. That's what love looks like. It's fine line, because we don't want to lose ourselves in the midst of loving, being loyal to this word love, but it's like at the same time, I want to honor God, and I want to, even though like you're not feeling this, love from you, I still want to pour out my heart and everything, what I'm saying? So if you're gonna love, love unconditionally. Don't love and say, oh, because what about all the times I've been there for you? And about, if you're doing it out of love, you're laying yourself down. Like Christ didn't, yes, he expects us to follow him and trust in him, but he knows that we do have, a sin nature. So we have to be careful with that.
Yeah, and it's being able to get to that point where we can reach the agape love in all our relationships. Yeah, but that's like a tough kind of love, because equated with like parents' love for their child. Like no matter what their child does, your parents are always gonna love you. You always love your kids, and like it doesn't matter. Like parents in court supporting their kids, like the Aaron Rodgers documentary. Did you watch that? I'm super off topic right now.
No.
Oh, you watch that? Well, I mean, his mom was there. Like he was pretty much like blaming her for why he was so messed up and stuff, but she was still there for him. But he was really mean to her. But she's still there for you. You in jail. You done did whatever you did.
Aaron Hernandez?
Yeah, what did I say?
Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, Lord. Yeah,
I was like, I didn't know Aaron Rodgers.
Is Aaron Rodgers a baseball?
Football. Quarterback.
I don't even know who that is.
Yeah. Green Bay Packers.
Oh, yeah. No. Okay.
Discount double check, State Farm.
Wait, maybe. I think I might know who he is. I think I might know.
TJ, if you listen to this, bro, educate your woman.
Yeah. But that type of love. So back on it. The just love that no matter what a person does, and I feel like that should be our goal in every relationship that we're in. Like at a certain age, it's kind of like, well, how much am I going to invest? How much more am I going to invest in my friendships and just all my relationships with everybody in my life, so that we can reach that, so that, I would never think about even getting rid of this relationship. Like now I tell all my friends, I'm like, I know we're going to grow old together. Like we're going to be grandmas and we're going to be looking at our grandkids and stuff. But I already talk like that, because we in this for life now. I mean, I don't really see anything changing. Like if we have issues, we just talk them out. And I tell even new friends, I actually just went to have dinner with somebody who I would consider a new friend, and I just told her, I'm like, if we ever have issues, I'm gonna tell you now. Just come talk to me. I'd rather you be direct with me than us just stop being cool over something.
And that's what I was gonna ask next. Like, how do you handle conflict in friendships? It's so tough, because they're your friend and you love spending time with them. You love having fun with them, connecting, chilling, just connecting, and you don't. We try to keep drama out of the equation, but we're broken people and we step on each other's toes. So like you were saying, could you continue on in that? How do you go about it?
I learned that I cannot have expectations. I just cannot go into friendships with expectations of how I'm have this image of how somebody should act, how they should treat me, how they should be, because I kind of just want to like and love you for who you are, authentically, and me putting the expectation on my friends is kind of like me creating them to be like what I saw in movies, or like just like this false narrative of who people are. And so since I started doing that, I have not had any conflicts with like any of my friends.
Mm-hmm.
And to my knowledge, they haven't brought anything to me. But before, if there was a conflict, I'm like better with my words. So it's easier for me to write out how I feel so I can like explain it in detail. And that like never worked for me. Like, if I ever had a problem with anybody, I seriously would. It just never worked. So I had to just stop doing that. So if I have a problem now, I would talk to them about it, like verbally talk to them. I wouldn't like send a huge thing or anything like that. I would just straight up talk to them. But honestly, like, I haven't had any issues. Actually, I did have one issue when I was pregnant. And I mean, this was before actually, this was after I decided to not curse people, well, go off on people through text messages. But at that time, I was pregnant, so I had a lot of hormones rushing. And I had to apologize because I was just like, I was really upset and hurt, but about, what you did or whatever. But we were able to move past it, and like, we're cool now. And she forgave me and I forgave her, and yeah, we cool. I do still feel like when I did like go off on people or say whatever I gotta say, that it kind of hurts the relationship in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to stop doing that. Like, I don't want to hurt anybody with like my words. That's just not who I am. So I don't want to say something that I'm not trying to purposely hurt anyone anymore. And I feel like that's kind of how it was before. I would just say things to hurt them because I was hurt. And I just learned that like that's not the way to handle it. I just need to express exactly how I'm feeling and just say all the facts and not like get into like trying to hurt somebody, because it's selfish. Again, it's just really selfish for me to do that. So, and I haven't had, since then, I haven't had any issues, and that was in January of 2018, and since then, I haven't had any issues.
I feel like it's difficult for guys to be like, yo, bro, you just hurt my feelings. Or like, if we do get into like a disagreement or something, we're just going, like, we're not even listening. We're just like going back and forth. And like, I've honestly, it just got to a point, like it gets to a point where I'm just like, you know what, forget it, bro. But one, like, for instance, me and my one friend, we've been friends since I moved, to Evergreen, and he knows me, I know him, but there's times where we'll have disagreements whether it comes to like how we should be like doing in a certain situation or like what move we should do. There would be, clashing heads, and like we'll, like he says sometimes like I get real stern and harsh, or whatever. And I'm just like, no, bro, I'm just like putting my foot down because like I feel like, you're doing this or that. And I'll just be like, you know what, bro, like, let's just like, I'll kind of try to put up a boundary. Like we just can't talk about this certain thing because it just seems like we've been always clashing if it came to, when it comes down to this. We got to learn how to disagree with one another and let that be that. And then it's like, then we get 5 minutes later, like, we're just like, bro, why was we doing, you know what I'm saying? It just got to a point where it's just, regardless of he's not trying to keep the boundary, I have to remember that this is a boundary that we should not cross, because it's just like, what's the point of us if we're being, it's just like, I'm not trying to enter in a zone like that, and it's like, either we're gonna fix this or I can't really like kick it with you like that, because I'm not trying to be argumentative with my friends,
And you can't have. And that's one thing I realized, like, the two people are not emotionally mature and in the same space, have a conversation, then it always is going to be like a clash, because it's one person not listening, the other person not, like, I just want you to understand what I'm saying, but they like, I want you to understand what I'm saying too. So then it's like a constant clash, and it's like nobody listening. It's like bad communication, emotions, and
yeah. And I feel like with guys, we're just like, you know what, bro, whatever, bro, you know, like it's just brush it off, or else it's about to get too like heated to where now it's no, we're like, now we're stand up then, you know, squat, you know, like what's up.
Thinking that's gonna resolve
right, you know, and then it's like there would be one time my buddies got into it. They hop out the car like they about to squat up, and I get out the car. I was like, y'all look so dumb right now. Like I should be recording this, you know. And then after that we get in the car like nothing even. I'm like, we gotta stop doing this, y'all. Like what's the point? We've been like much better, like things like we've grown since then, you know, which is great, and like we're better at understanding each other and like what we don't need to do and like the conversation that we don't need to have, and the boundaries. You're my friend for this, like I come to you for this reason, you know, and we connect on this level, you know, so let's keep it at this level until like we can continue to grow individually and we can take steps. Not every friend is going to be a friend to invest with or to go to the gym with or talk about God with, you know, but you can have different friends for different reasons. Do you have different friends for different reasons, or do you feel like you got like your girls, and that's?
So I was thinking about this. I really don't. All my friends, talk to them all about the same things for the most part. I feel like some I might talk to certain things a little more in depth. Like, but we talk about for the most part all of the same things. Like with all my friends, so really weird actually, and that's one of the things I pray for, like good friends. When I had my vision board party, like we were all just here and just talking, like you wouldn't have known that like this is a friend that I met through this other person. They don't even know each other, but like we all are just having a conversation, like we all know have known each other for all these years, and we haven't. That's one thing I guess about maybe just being a genuinely like good-hearted person, that we're all good-hearted, so maybe we just all mesh really well. It's actually kind of crazy that we just all were talking and feeling comfortable to just talk about different things with each other when we haven't hung out outside of this party today. Like this one person I invited who I never even hung out with, but we all were just like mixing and
like it's a great thing when you experience like-mindedness, you know, and it's like you're able to connect on so many levels when you come to somebody who's on the same growth track as you. You know, it's a beautiful thing. It's like, wow, I've been praying for you know, people to come into my life like this, and now it's like it's beautiful. It's really cool. I got different friends for different reasons. Like there's friends who I, you know, like to talk about God with. There's friends who we can talk about sports with, you know, not, you know, and I have girlfriends who can go to and talk about emotions with, you know what I'm saying? Like some guys aren't just like at that, you know, level. And I'm just only at that level because I was like raised by women, and, you know, I didn't have father figures in my life like that. So when it comes to emotions, like I'm down, y'all want to talk about feelings? Like, all right, great. You know what I'm saying? But one of the things I love about social media is that like I have friends on all around the world, like their like-mindedness too, you know, in terms of how they want to grow with God or how they want to grow in this world. And it's just like such a beautiful thing to where it's like, all right, they helped me get through those times where I did feel lonely, you know, like they were there for support, they were there for encouragement, they were there just to chat and to laugh, share videos with. Such a blessing to have social media. You can still stay on your grind, stay in your lane, and you got people on the web supporting you, and you know, you're one click away from FaceTiming them. I have different friends for different reasons. What about like when it comes to believers and unbelievers? Like do you have any unbelieving friends? Do you have more believing friends, or do you not have any believing friends?
All of my friends are believers. It's just like we're all at different levels, and that's cool. I feel like I could not be friends with someone who doesn't believe in God at all and who would try to argue with me that there is no God, because I know what I know, and that would just feel for me personally, not anybody else listening, for me personally, I've had that interaction with someone who was trying to like challenge me on God was real. My dad don't believe in God. And he was just like, it was more than one person, but for him specific, he was saying like, just a lot of stuff. And I was young, so it was really confusing to me. That experience alone, somebody like trying to challenge you and trying to get you to think a way that's completely different from what you've been used to, for me, it's just like, oh, I'm letting the devil all the way in right now. Like maybe it's just a challenge from God. But how can we be friends? Because if my friend's going through something, I'm automatically like, okay, I'm gonna pray for you, you know. And so if I'm trying to like be encouraging and I reference something with God, it's just hard for us to even have a relationship. And that's actually why, like, now me and my dad, like, we stopped talking altogether. And like one of the reasons was kind of just, it was that whole aspect of say you love me, but your actions, like they don't follow what a parent, you know, that unconditional love, like it's not what God is saying it's supposed to be. So it was kind of just like, okay, it's just time to just let this go until something changes. Because at that time, like I can't deal with that. I can't deal with that type of hate for God or
yeah, it could be closed-mindedness. Yeah, I was just reading scripture the other day and it talked about how they don't hate you, they hate you because of me. And it's like, it's something that I feel like I've challenged myself to remember. No, it's just like the fact that of what their perspective on who God is, you know, and it's like they don't really know who we know. And the reason why we follow him is because of what he's done in our hearts and lives and like what he's revealed to us. Us knowing who he is. So we just got to remember, like, they just don't know who he is, and they're not going to know unless they come to that point of, you know, repentance and belief in Christ. And I believe, like, I have more unbelieving friends than I do believers, but like I think I like manage that like pretty well, you know, like I don't like just like hang out with my unbelieving friends all the time. And it's not like I just can't like be around believers all the time, because it's like I love all my friends, you know.
When you say, I'm sorry, when you say unbelieving, you mean like don't believe in God at all, or just like
I have
just faith not strong, or how would you define it?
Oh, okay. So unbeliever would be someone who hasn't come to the knowledge of Christ. You know, they say that they believe in God, but they have their own definition of God. So in my knowledge to what I believe the Bible says is, you know, like I believe that's unbeliever. But also a unbeliever could be an atheist. I have an atheist friend. I have a friend who's agnostic. We have great like the conversations that I have with my agnostic friend, like we are almost going to have a podcast together, because like one thing that was so cool was that we can have different views in life, different perspectives, but love was still there. Like we still have common ground to where we were able to kick it. You know, I would have a beer with him. You know, we can share, we can laugh, we can talk about sports. We had shows that we like to watch, you know, and like there was great intellectual conversations. Like he would ask me deep things, and it would get me and Kuhn to where I would be like, you know what? I don't know, but I'll see what's up. You know, it caused me to go back to the word, to dig, to want to know more about him and stuff. So it's just like, it's like, I remember Christ when they came at him like, oh, he parties with the sinners. He, you know, he does this. And it's like, although he didn't partake in those things, he still hung around them. He was still able to remain in the spirit and love them, because he knew who he was and he knew who they were and what they needed, you know. And we have to keep in mind, like, there's a fine line, you know. You got to be careful too, because lest we fall into temptation, because there has been times where, you know, I've gone out and I've had one too many, you know. But it's all love though. At the end of the day, I'm just here to love on my friends, because they're my friends. They've helped me out through tough times, whether they believe or not. So, but I also have believing friends where they sharpen my sword and help me, to encourage me, go out there and to be who I am. Say it's the vice versa. Like I encourage them to, do the same. So I break bread with anybody, it's just all depending on what are we here for? What's the intention? Is this a one-sided thing? Are you just here to vent to me, and not really take my advice? That's like, it gets to a point where it's like, all right, like you're just continue. Like there's times where I hang with people and they're just like continuing to say the same story, and I'm just like, okay, like I can only listen to so much. Like it shows a lot,
It shows maturity in your faith, like that you're willing to have those conversations. I'm like 10 or 11 months, so I'm not there yet.
And you're on your way, and you're like, don't be discouraged, and you're on God's timing. You're on nobody else's but His. And so like when you're ready for that, to take that step of faith, and when you do feel confident in your knowledge of the word, like the Bible says that the Holy Spirit gives you words at that time, so you don't even have to really worry about what you need to say, and it's just remember, one, if it is comes down to it, like say if, well, we'll get to that when we talk about accountability. And I feel like one thing that's kind of on my heart, when I got back on Instagram, that's when I just started like learning about toxic and stuff like that. We get so like, oh, you're toxic, so you can't be in my life right now, or like I need to avoid you. And I think it's wise to be aware of toxic traits and stuff like that. I feel like as believers, we have to remember we're just the same, and we're not perfect. And like we have to just as much as God had met us where we were at, we have to meet others where they're at, and we have to kind of be the bigger brother in a sense. Not just like, oh, I got to remove you out of my life. Talk to them, be real with them. Like my friend, she told me at the beginning, like before the year started, that she was going to take a break from hanging out with me, and I was like kind of thrown off, but I was like, what? Like, at the same time, like I got to be like, I just, I got to respect this. And it's been hard because she's my friend. And I was like, when I go to her, like when I'm done with what I'm doing, like in terms of working or working on my music, this or that, I come to you, rest and refreshment. Like I like to kick it with you. I like to just shoot the breeze, and it's just like, we have to keep in mind that like people are on their journey, and we can try to be there for them as much as possible, but like don't forget to pray for your friends. Don't forget that God came to us when we were at our low points, where we needed Him the most. And it's like, we got to remember that they still need God just as much as we need Him, and it's like, we shouldn't shun them away because they're not benefiting our lives. More so, like, we have to think, like, how can I support you during this time? Even if we're not going to be like hanging out, what can I do to support you? It could be, what if I just sent out a text a week, just, hey, thinking about you, praying for you, or, stuff like that. We don't need to like beat people down in their toxicity, because they're just going to remain in that. And it's like, of course, everybody has their choice and the way that they want to live or whatnot. And we can only help so much. We can only lead the horse to the water. But it's like, let's do it in love. Let's lead them in love. And let's not say, oh, I'm up here and you're down here. Rather let's go underneath them, and how could I lift them up, at this time.
That's good, especially because I feel like that's what we need as people, but sometimes we kind of forget to like check on people and be like, oh, how can I help you, or what can I do to add value to your life, or just how can I be there for you in a better way in like what you're going through. Yeah, I think that's really good that you said that. And that actually leads me to our journalist assignment.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah. So one thing we should always do for our friends, or just praying in general, is always thanking God for our friends and just praying for them, and just praying as that always allows you to be able to work on becoming a better friend, because there's always room to grow. Like, we change as people and we have to grow with our friends.
Definitely.
And even like you said, that in that toxic space, or if you kind of realize that a friend might have a few toxic traits, but you don't know, it's like just praying on it and kind of seeing how that relationship goes. Ask God. If you don't know if you want to be friends with a certain person, pray. And that's a part of the journal assignment. So thanking him for the friends that you have, asking him and praying that he always allows you to work on being a better friend, and then just asking your friends if there is any way you can be there for them. You know, you can ask one friend a week, one friend a month, you know, if they need prayer, if they need anything. I remember asking a few of my friends, like, do you need help cleaning up your room? Because it's always messy when I come over. And I'm actually really good with cleaning up messy rooms because my room used to always be messy, and I learned how to clean it up really good and really fast. And yeah, just seeing how you can add value to the people in your life, because you never even know, just like asking that person one thing might really help their day. Like, do you need to vent today? You know, if my friends tell me they're going through something, I always try to ask them, like, do you need to vent? Do you just need me to listen? And then, you know, they'll say, no, I'm good, or they'll just start venting. And then at the end, always try to just ask them, like, how can I support you? I see you going through something, but just asking how you can be a better support system to them in any way, shape, or form.
I'm with that 100%, because like I remember in the first season of the podcast, you had said, like, are you gonna have a friend who's just gotta look like out for you in terms of like what would they do in this situation? Are you gonna have a friend who's gonna like say like, well, did you pray on it? Or you know, I'll be praying for you, you know, on this. And that's such a, like, when it comes to having believing friends, I need prayer. Like, prayer is so powerful, and that are the driving force of our faith, you know, and who we are and what God's doing in our lives, giving him access to really move, you know, because we can't do it without prayer. We can't do it without him. So it's, I need those friends who are going to really pray. Like, I don't just want a friend who's just going to try to give me like a quick fix. That's toxic. You know, just get rid of them. You know, just leave. You know, but it's like, but do you know the whole story? Like, do you like? And it's just like, wise counsel is such value. Like, I understand that you want me to be better right now in this situation, but like, yeah, prayer.
Yeah.
Are you praying for your friends? Or your friends praying for you? Like, that's another sign of a healthy relationship.
Exactly.
You know, and knowing, and do you pray with them? But yeah.
You know, I'm actually thinking about starting like a prayer circle.
Oh, word?
Like, yeah, and just like have like people and me and like TJ's lives like come together and like we just pray for each other. And it was really because I was just like, you know, our friends like are going through things that we don't even know about. But like, how can we all come together and just like and lift each other up so that we all kind of know that like we're all not alone. Like, we all are dealing with our own separate things. And even if we might not talk in specifics about everything we're going through, like, just pray for me on whatever it is. And so even stuff like that, like anything you can do to enhance the lives of the people around you will then enhance your life, because now you have people interceding for you and praying for you and speaking into your life and into you and into what you're going through. And like, that's what we need. Like, I mean, you can't have horrible relationships with people who like you sitting in front of praying for, you know, like forced to work through those friendships and whatever is going on there.
That's real. Yeah. I love it. Yeah, very encouraged, and definitely gives me, you know, man, like when you're asking these questions, like I was like, man, am I a good friend? How can I become a better friend? You know, like, yeah, like. Yeah,
I feel like I've been slacking, like, as being a friend. Like, I've been super distant, like, but that was just God. I guess he needed me to kind of just take time, because normally I like always have stuff at our house and stuff, but like last year we didn't really do a lot here. I was just like in a place where I'm just like, I need to keep this environment just like clean and so
seasons. There's seasons.
Yeah, so now I'm getting back into like, hey, trying to be a better friend. Like, at this point, when I'm going through stuff or when I'm really focused, I'll shut everybody out, and it's just like me and God, and I'm just praying, and I'm like, okay, what you need from me?
But your friends understand that, and that's the great thing. You know, like, y'all know. Like my buddy always knows, like if he don't hear from me in like a week, he's like, oh, Mike's in hermit mode, he's doing his thing, you know. Sometimes he'll call me like, bro, where's you, you know, but I'd be like, you know me, bro, just, you know, in my room, you know, trying to figure some stuff out, because we all need that time, and like that's what, you know, it's really cool.
That's healthy for your friends to be able to deal with what they have to deal with, vent to you when they need to vent to you. You be there for them, they be there for you, and it's like a mutual understanding that it's okay. We're still friends. It doesn't change our friendship. Yeah, you going through a lot. That doesn't change the fact that you're my friend. Like, I'm not gonna beat you up for dealing with what you're dealing with, and you taking space for yourself, and don't beat me up for taking space for me, you know? And that's like having no expectation. Like, I don't expect to see you every week and talk to you every single day. Like, that's unrealistic. Like, we all have lives. So yeah, just being able to be there and be supportive.
Yeah, that's real. That's real. And I think that wraps up this episode. It's been a great one, and hopefully we've given you guys a lot to think about, a lot to consider. Hopefully God worked in all of you guys' hearts in some way or another, and y'all can just reflect on this message and use it whichever way you know He wants y'all to use it.
Yes, yeah. Thank y'all for listening to another episode, and we will talk to y'all next week.
Later.